What's up, everybody? This is Mr. 100K a day with another video with 100K Paralegal Services. Today, I'm going to be starting this playlist exclusively dedicated to Charlie Kirk, the fallout from his death, and the legal and societal ramifications of everything surrounding his death and his situation. Now, I knew very little about Charlie Kirk before his death. Yeah, I think we all had maybe seen a clip or two of him of having these debates, but I really didn't pay him no mind. The things I saw him saying before, some of the statistics I saw him quoting, the things that I heard him saying about black people and some of the other groups throughout the United States, most of the stuff he said was nonsense. Now that he's gone, I had a chance to go back and look at some of his material, and I see why there's so many people celebrating his demise because he was very divisive. He was just a racist, and it was a racist in disguise. I feel like he used Christianity, pulled up his Bible to soften people up, and then he, tried to indoctrinate the youth by going to, different college campuses in order to spread his hateful messages, his divisive messages. And I believe that ultimately he got basically his own karma. His own energy came back to take his life. But this playlist, this video, I'm not here to celebrate the man losing his life. He had what he had coming to him. He's gone now. That is what it is. I'm going to specifically target his ideas, his logic, and some of the statements in which he made, checking for accuracy. And I'm also going to look at some of the players around this and show how their legal cases are developing. Already, we've had a guy charged with possession of child porn because he falsely claimed to have been the Charlie Kirk shooter, and the FBI searched his phone and filed child porn. So he don't get the charges for killing the man, but he gets child porn charges for lying about killing the man and getting his phone searched. This is in Utah. These are a bunch of creeps. I don't know if these guys are inbred. I don't know what these guys got going on up there, but for this to play out the way it has already, it's like a Hollywood movie to the fullest degree. The suspect in the case, Mr. Robinson, has already been charged with multiple counts involving witness tampering, involving murder, and just the whole irony behind this murder and this situation is the craziest thing on earth. Now, this is a black man giving y'all my perspective. For Charlie Kirk to do as much ranting and raving about black people and other groups, particularly about black people, about being violent, the way he went on, quoting the typical white supremacist stat that they like to try to use. Black people are 13% of the population, commit 50% of the crime, 60% of the murders, all these skewed stats that he liked to quote. It is the most ironic situation here to see a man who talks like that, operated like that, drove that point home, especially in the week preceding his murder with the situation that happened on the train in North Carolina with a young Ukrainian woman being killed by a black man. So with all of that have taken place, for him to subsequently be shot and killed by a young man, apparently, allegedly, who is not a transgender himself, but who is dating a transgender man, a man who's transitioning to be a woman in Utah. This is some sick and crazy stuff. And this is pulling back a very ugly curtain on white America, if you ask me. White America has the tendency, especially online, you watch Twitter, you watch the media, they have a tendency to try to always exploit black criminality, put a a magnifying glass on it to talk about negative things in black culture while completely ignoring their own stats and their own issues in their own communities. It is completely insane. Just in this case alone, in the last week, we've had instances of murder already. We have white guys who are dating transgender women, a person who's transitioning. We already have a guy who's been charged with possession of child porn because he wanted to falsely falsely confessed to being the shooter. He was arrested, detained, went to the hospital, and they searched his phone. So there's a lot of weird stuff going on with this already. So stay tuned, guys. This is just the most ridiculous case already surrounding a guy who should never have been celebrated to begin with. A guy who was clearly out of his mind, who clearly was out of touch with reality, a guy who clearly lacked any real level of intelligence. Definitely no social and emotional intelligence. He definitely lacked that, because a person with social and emotional intelligence would be able to read the room, understand the climate of what was going on in the community and society. And anybody who uses hate to try to get rich, to try to get famous, to try to earn money, you are barking up the wrong tree, and you're definitely going to have issues. No, his wife has recently come out saying the fire has been ignited in her, but she knew who she had married. She knew the type of man that she had married. Even if it was me, if I lay with a woman every night and she's talking about hate and going out and giving speeches, even though if we are living in a multi-million-dollar house, I would say to my woman, hey, baby, you know you're going out and saying these things in people's faces. Why do you got to go out into these people's faces in the community and talk about these divisive things and make it seem like you're advocating for these people? You come off as a racist. You come off as a bigot. Why not just do it online like the other losers do? But instead, he made the multi-million-dollar operation, and it ultimately took him out at age 31. And I feel like, his situation ultimately will be a lesson learned for white America. I think most black people, most black people ignored guys like Charlie Kirk, because we've encountered them. We encountered them in school. We encountered them growing up. They're really just lonely white boys who never fit in for real and never really had any talent. So they attach themselves to things like this, like hate and division, in order to get attention and to earn money. That's what they do. They know that hate, division is a big market for it in white America, in the United States. So he fell into that trap, and ultimately, he didn't just offend blacks, because there's a fundamental difference. You're just offending blacks, because blacks probably wouldn't have did nothing to him. He's been saying a lot of things for a while, and there wasn't a black guy who attacked him. As a matter of fact, I don't think he probably never even got death threats from black people. In the end, it was a white man, who was sleeping and dating a transgender who came and took his life. Just think about that, guys. Think about how ugly it is. And I think that, a lot of people recognize how crazy this situation is, and they don't really have any real explanation for it. So what they're doing is trying to get people fired from their jobs if you make comments about the guy in a negative light, about his death and things like that. A lot of people have been fired. There's been multiple reports of people being fired, losing their jobs, losing their positions, resigning, all type of fallout from this. Now, people talk about First Amendment, being able to freedom of speech, but he can be pushing hate, division in his own life, and then the minute you put your own opinion on his death and the way he lived and the way he died, people want to see you fired and lose your job. So, I'm not a Republican or Democrat. I'm an independent, but I think both of these guys are idiots. Both of the sides are idiots, to be honest with you. So we'll see how things turn out, but stay tuned, guys. I'm going to be doing a lot of content on this. Tell me what you guys think. Do you think this guy even deserves the attention he's getting? I personally don't. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, because I personally don't think he deserves the attention he's getting. As a matter of fact, he wasn't a politician. He wasn't a senator. He wasn't a House of Representatives. He wasn't part of the House of Representatives. He wasn't a president. This man wasn't a governor. He wasn't even a mayor. He had no solutions to real issues, no real solutions that work in society to the issues in which he talked about. He was just a person fanning the flames of hate, misogyny, racism, sexism, and division. That's how he lived, and ultimately that's how he died. So I'm going to continue analyzing this guy and the fallout on all these creeps and weirdos associated with the case. Tell me what you guys think. Till next time, this is Mr. 100K a day. I'm out this joint. Peace.